All right, welcome on in, guys. And tonight we have a very special interview from none other than 2019 GWC champion Top Shelf Cookie, the last world champion for the GWC. Cookie, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm excited to talk some hockey with you.
Yeah, let's do it. And I'm going to throw it over to Davos, as Davos will have the first question for you here.
How do you feel about teams being integrated with clubs like the Anaheim Ducks and the New York Islanders, ILGT now, and Anaheim Ducks Gaming continuing marketing top players? And do you feel like more teams are going to hop on the wagon here?
Yeah, no, I think it's great, especially for the players. I think for a lot of us that have been around the community for a while, have been looking for an opportunity to kind of have our skills showcased, right? And aside even from the gaming aspect, kind of the personalities and the entertainment side. So I think especially with what Isles GT is doing, with Jordan over there kind of leading the way for him, it's been awesome to see. And having the Anaheim Ducks, both the Isles and the Ducks having official sixes teams is super exciting. I think it's great for the scene to grow, especially for now and in the future.
Yeah, and the Isles and Ducks actually matched off in this CBJ Gaming 3v3 Open, and that's awesome to see to start things off. So let me ask you a 3v3 question as a little bit different. How does your ones game translate to the 3v3 space? What tools have you taken from being a dominant 1v1 player? How has it helped you succeed in 3v3s? You guys certainly look good tonight.
I think a lot of it has come down with vision. I think that's the one thing that I would say translates between 1v1, 3v3, 6-on-6. Just being aware of what's out there on the ice, where the open spots are, where you've got space. And I think with 1v1, since you're controlling everybody, right? You've got to keep a vision of everybody around. I think that really helps with especially with even threes, knowing how much open ice there is. Looking to find even I know there's tons of space, right? So you think, passes should be easy, but it's the little passes that are going to kind of separate teams to get them ahead of others, right? Be able to get more scoring chances, finding like the small passing lanes to fit through with all that ice. I know it sounds easy, but it's a lot harder than it looks. So I think it's been a fun experience sort of translating going into the 3v3. I think from the sixes community jumping into 3v3, it's still a learning curve, and same thing with 1v1. So I think this first week's going to be a lot of experimenting, seeing positions players like to use and skills and abilities they want to put on their players. So I'm excited for the next coming week to come.
So I'm going to throw it back to Davos once more, as he has one more question lined up for you, and then we'll pivot back to me for my final question.
So me being a part in smaller threes communities like I3HL, do you feel like maybe in the future they could add some implementation of maybe possession changes after every game or so? Do you make it at least more interesting than just same players playing the same possession, maybe adding a little bit more depth to it?
Yeah, I think kind of unique even with CBJ Gaming Tournament is having truculence off the board, because I think that was kind of one of those abilities that everyone used, and so it kind of made everyone play the same meta. So I think having that out of the tournament really opens up for people to use what they like to use. I think you'll see a lot more people using puck on a string, maybe ankle breaker. I was messing around tonight, had seeing eye on there, which I don't think it's used too often. But so I think it's just going to allow for a lot of differentiation with the game. And I think for leagues that are in right now with I3HL, I'm not sure on the rulings that they have, but I think those players jumping into this tournament will probably have a huge advantage. Playing threes on a regular is going to be helpful, just obviously practice and over time, but it is a different mode. It's got that learning curve that I'd mentioned earlier. So I think for a lot of the teams that might be, tonight, for example, that went 2-2 or 1-3, I think this first day is going to be kind of experimenting. And so learning on from mistakes tonight and how you can improve, I think we'll start to see teams start to climb the leaderboards, more so the sixes dominant, teams in this league. So I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
All right.
Yeah, and in the Caps Gaming Showcase, they also did a 3v3 event, and Prodigy looked really good. IGT looked really good. So a lot of these 6v6 dominant teams are showcasing their skill at the 3v3 level. So let's ask you maybe a little bit about 3v3. What do you enjoy the most playing 3v3? And, would you like to see more NHL tournaments doing 3v3, as now CBJ and Caps Gaming have both had a 3v3 tournament?
I think it's great. I would love to see more of it. I know touching on Prodigy, that's a team that I think was primarily built off 1v1 players. So they have so much talent, right? So much individual talent, and putting them together and seeing them succeed in all these tournaments, not just sixes, but threes as well, is really incredible to see how they're putting it all together. So I think seeing how well they have done, I think it's going to make everyone else want to, up their game and kind of match that level, because Prodigy has kind of been a dominant force regardless. You take all the players individually 1v1, they're still studs. So I think seeing how the threes have come along, it's been very fun, very different, and very unique. And I think it adds that sort of freshness that people want with the game, right? I don't think people that play a lot of sixes or ones, it can get kind of repetitive. Threes is very different. It'll open things up, and it's a whole different play style. So part of that whole, I always compare it to, you know, like when you're learning a new game, or it's the new NHL launch, right? Everyone's trying to find out the metas. It's kind of restarting, but here we are in May, you know, starting over with it. So I'm excited. I'd love to keep playing them.
Well, it's interesting you do bring up Prodigy as we take a look at Poguex. Poguex has won the Tampa Bay Bolts Shell Challenge in the 1v1 event. He won the Caps Gaming 3v3 event, and they just won the Sharks Pacific Cup as well as the IGT circuit. So certainly dominating all three stages. It's unbelievable the skill of some of these players. Certainly you're in that conversation as well. As I do have one final comment or question for you before we close things up here is, talk a little bit about how this team came together for 3v3. You have played with these guys before in some 6v6 events, but how specifically did you guys choose this lineup? Because when you're going from sixes to threes, you know, not everyone can make it. So just walk me through how this team came together.
Yeah, so it came together from previous experiences. Saphir and Junior Pens, we'd always play together, at least in previous seasons. And so then we brought in Perelzi as a goaltender. Surprisingly, I'd say he's probably the best goaltender. Well, let me rephrase that. I mean, I do think he's very good, but he's got the best thumbs for a goalie. I would love to see him out as a forward or skater at some point. So I wouldn't put it behind us if things start going south. We do some position changing and let him take some center out there. But no, we've all just been good friends, and we've stayed in touch, especially a lot throughout the community, and even not just this year, but last year as well. So we came together and we said, hey, we're all pretty good at ones. Threes is going to be kind of a wild card. Why don't we whip something up and maybe, you know, when we learn the meta, sort of play against it. We've seen a lot of, you know, like we call Junior Pens-esque goals, you know, those weird shots from odd angles and hoping for rebounds and all that stuff.
He scored the 360 backhand today. So, I mean, there you
go.
Right there.
Beautiful. So, you know, and that's the kind of play that, you know, it's we're playing there. It's casual. We're having fun. You know, while we're trying to win out there, at the end of the day, you know, it's a nice time to just meet with your friends and hang out for the night. So I think that's what's really awesome with this tournament is I think you kind of have the less stress of, you know, trying to win every single game, and you can kind of have a little bit more fun with your buddies and enjoy your evening. So that's kind of how we came together. And, you know, I think right now it's a little rough. The first start, we started off 1-3. So, but hey, that's why we said this is an experiment. We're going to work our way up from here and see where it goes.
Well, you guys certainly had no problem scoring goals. You guys did look good offensively. Just got to tighten up the hatches a little bit defensively. And we certainly thank you for your time, Cooks. It's always a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll be playing some Halo in the future as well. As from Davos, from myself, from Top Chef Cookie, you guys have a wonderful evening.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.